Uh, Thanks for reminding me. Okay. So in JDBC, whenever you want to interact with the database, you have to properly compose the query. If it is insert, update, delete, select, drop, whatever query you want to execute, you have to write a query properly. If there is anything wrong in your query, the query will be failed and you will get an exception. So what is the expectation for JDBC from a Java developer is, doesn't matter you are only a Java developer, but still you should be expert in the SQL query developer also. At the same time, you're supposed to be a database administrator kinds of role you have to play, where you need to know the all SQL query. Basic SQL query, everyone know. That's not a problem. But when this comes to the procedure, function, joins, that's where problem
Right.
starts coming. So people start facing a problem related to that. So what we want here is, we don't want to write a query. I'm a Java developer. I want to write a piece of code which is Java specific. One problem with the JDBC, I told you, you have to write your own query.
On. Yeah.
Second point, let's say if you're writing a procedure or function in database, procedure and function is just like a function how you're writing a Java code inside your Java application. So this procedure and function syntax are different from one database to other database. So if you write a query for procedure in Oracle, it might be not the same in the MySQL or SQL Server.
Right.
So now think about that. You are using a JDBC. Currently, you are using a Oracle database. You have written the all query for your project o- according to the Oracle syntax. When you went for the marketing of this project, your client is saying, no, I'm sorry, I cannot take your project. I like it. I want to use it, but I cannot take because you are using Oracle. And in my system, I'm using a SQL Server because Oracle license is a very costly. One of the client cannot go to purchase another database license only to use your product. So even though your product is very nice, super powerful, but your client will not accept because they can see that it's a huge cost involved in that. I already have a SQL server, but this guy is coming with the Oracle. I cannot go with the Oracle now. Now it's a big business loss for you. Now what you will do? You will come to your company, you will call a architect meeting, you will tell them, hey, this is the problem. The client is ready to take our product, but only the database is the problem. Now your whole database team will compose or convert or migrate the whole Oracle query into a SQL Server query. Why? Because the same query cannot run in the SQL Server. So you put a lots of effort to migrate the Oracle query into a SQL Server. Now you went to the client and tell, okay, now I can, my project will work on SQL Server also. It might be that that client has taken another product similar, or he can accept. The migration is not an easy work. Again, you went to the third client, they are saying, oh my God, I'm using a MySQL. If you want to sell your product, then please make sure that your product is working on MySQL. You again come to the company, again you started migrating to the MySQL. This is a very tedious job and very much cost effective and giving you a less benefits. That's where the ORM came. We don't want our product or project supposed to be dependent on database. We were looking some sort of framework which is easily can switch from one database to another database. This is what the expectation. But if you're using JDBC, your project is completely dependent on the database because you are writing a query and that query is dependent on database. So now ORM came in picture. ORM is saying that you don't need to bother about the query. You want to switch to Oracle? No problem. Just give me the Oracle properties. There is something called dialect in the Hibernate. That dialect is doing the magic. If you give a dialect of Oracle, Hibernate will be start composing the query according to the Oracle. If you give
Yes.
dialect to the SQL server, Oracle Hibernate will be start composing the query according to the SQL server. So in high level, in Hibernate, we are not going to write a query. We are just saving our object. Rest all things are going to be taken care by the Hibernate, which is one of the ORM module framework. ORM stands for Object Relational Mapping. So now what you're doing, for interacting with the table, you are writing a SQL query. If it is insert, write insert query, update like this way. But now what I will do, let's say, for example, I have a table person, okay, and I want to insert some data. Then what I will do is, I have to write a SQL query, something like this. Insert into person. Let's say this table is having the two column, ID comma name, and you have to write insert into person values, something like 123, and single quotes value ABC. This is the query you have to write. What is the other way how ORM is working? ORM is saying for each table you create one class. So if you have a person table, create one person class. Under this class, whatever column you have, just mention the property of your column. Okay. Now what exactly what I'm saying? For this person table, you have created one class. Now what you do, you create one person class object. Person P1 equal to new person, and pass the value whatever you want for the ID and things. ABC. And finally, you save this person object. That's all. So in JDBC, you are writing a query, but in the ORM, in a Hibernate, you are just dealing with the core Java code. This is the person
Okay.
class. This is the property of that class. I created the person class object. Person class object, I pass the whatever value I want to pass. And the moment I will save the object, it means indirectly you are having a person object. It means in you have the ID and name associated with that, right? That's what the oops concept is.
Yeah.
Yes or no?
Yeah.
Yes.
Everything is wrapped around the P1. So if I say
P1.
P1.id, I will
P1
get
dot.
ID. I
Yeah.
will get P1.name, I will get name, right?
Correct.
So this is
Yeah.
what the moment you will call save, what Hibernate will do, Hibernate will write a query for you. This save method call will internally write insert query for you, because database will not understand the Java code. He will only understand the SQL language. So Hibernate will convert your save method into an insert query. Let's say the
Correct.
insert query is varying from one database to other database. Doesn't matter. Hibernate will check which database my client is using. If it is in Oracle, it will compose the query according to Oracle. And that is the reason we are saying object relational, because we are dealing with a relational database, object relational mapping. So each row of your table is actually one of the person class object. Are you getting my point or not?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You are saving an
Correct.
object, and that object is going to reflect as a one of the row inside the table.
Okay.
This is the beauty of Hibernate.
Okay.
Not only
Nice.
that, If you want to fetch some value from this table, you need to write a query, select a star from particular table, right?
Right.
But since you have
Yes.
saved table, so here you have an option to get, here you have saved object. So you have an option called get method. Pass the ID, it will bring you the whole record. Here also you're not writing any query. This get method will internally write now, select a star from person table where ID is 123. This will
Okay.
internally compose a query for you. Brilliant. So you are only dealing with the Java code. And this is very, very important for you to understand the ORM. So, Vasavi, you have registered for Hibernate as well, as
Yeah.
per my knowledge. So you will be having the brief things about this Hibernate going forward.
Okay.
Okay, but
Okay.
right now, if you don't know, that's also fine. You will be able to follow it based upon this particular concept. But yeah,
Okay.
deep dive of Hibernate will be taken care. Okay,
Okay. I agree.
fine. So ORM, you guys understood object relational mapping, how it is so
Mapping. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
great. Now let's come to the Spring ORM. So ORM is nothing but object relational mapping, and it is nothing but it's your Hibernate framework. You have a Spring framework, you have a Hibernate framework. A Spring framework is mainly for it's considered as a front-end framework. Means you can use IOC, you can use MVC, all these things. But Hibernate is one of the backend framework, pure backend framework. It means it is only dealing with the database. You cannot take anything other than database interaction from Hibernate framework.
Okay.
But
Okay.
as you know, Spring people are very smart. Whenever they feel that some of the frameworks are getting popularity, some of the library is getting popularity, they immediately release one more module for that. So if you are in a Spring, no need to use a standalone Hibernate framework. What Spring is saying, if you are using me, why don't you use my flavor of Hibernate, Spring flavor of Hibernate? So
Right.
Spring is
Okay.
already providing you one model or what I can say library to use the Hibernate in a Spring way, and that is more optimized, having more highly performance. So what we have to do, let's look at this. I have created one simple Java project in Maven. Under the pom.xml file, definitely context supposed to be there. You must
Yeah.
have a you must have a you must have a IOC also. And there's one more annotation dependency called a Spring transaction. This TX stands for a Spring transaction. Rest
Okay.
all are related to Hibernate dependency. Look at this. This dependency is related to Hibernate.
Right.
Yeah.
So again, you have to go to the Maven and you just search Hibernate core, you will get this dependency. Then you have to search Hibernate entity manager, you will get this dependency. Here I'm using the dollar Hibernate version. So if you look at this, in each of this, I have mentioned the variable in pom.xml file. If you want to define a variable, the variable is supposed to be defined like this. Under the properties, you can define the variable like this. And if you want to use this variable anywhere, then this is the syntax: dollar and angular braces open, close, and that variable name. Now, what is the advantage of
Okay.
that? Let's say in future, if you want to change the Hibernate version from 5.38 to 6.382, if you have mentioned the Hibernate version here also, and if you have a lots of dependency related to Hibernate, every place you have to change the Hibernate version, Hibernate version, Hibernate version, right?
Yeah.
Similarly, Spring
Okay.
version, Spring version, Spring version. But if you have a variable defined, then one time you will change the version here, and it will be reflecting every place. So
Okay.
coding is everywhere. Even it's a XML, there also you can code. Are you getting my
Yeah.
point? These all
Yeah.
are
Yeah.
the techniques and tools you should know as a developer. So going forward, I will be introducing something new in every project. so that you will be grab that. Now, here we talk about the Spring ORM dependencies. So this is the Spring ORM you must have to mention inside your pom.xml. In Spring IOC, you have seen Spring IOC, Spring Core and Context. Here we have introduced one Spring transaction. These two are Hibernate dependency. This is one of the again Spring dependency. Okay, I'm also using one Apache common, which is one of the connection pool concept, guys. Let's understand this part as well. Getting a database connection is a very costly process. Like input
Okay.
output operation, database connection is a very costly process, because from Java program you are getting a connection from a other system. Database install as the other system. From Java program you are trying to get a connection. So getting a connection on demand is a very costly in the sense it is going via network. Okay, so people prefer to create a connection pool kinds of concept. So this library is mainly used for connection pooling. What is connection pooling? While starting itself, your lots of connection object will be created in the pool. So whenever request is coming, it will not go and create a connection on demand. That time it will be very costly. It might be take a 2, 3 seconds, 4 seconds, 5 seconds sometime. And that 5-second performance hit is not good. Now this day people are talking about performance. The moment you click, you want to get a response. You don't want to wait for 5 seconds and that the spinner is rolling on the screen, waiting. This is bad. How can we achieve high performance? Use the connection pool concept. Use the thread pool concept. Okay, so these are the
Okay.
dependencies related to our Spring ORM. Okay, now
Okay.
Okay.
last one is the H2 database. So you remember last class I told you I have installed the
Right.
H2 database. So if you guys have also installed, then go and just type H2. You will be getting the H2. It's not like that only H2. If you are familiar with any database like SQL, Oracle, whatever, you go and use that. There will be not at all a problem. So just click on connect. It will bring the whole console in front of me where the all tables are there. Yeah, cool.
Mm.
Yeah.
Now, first and most important things. If you remember, I told you ORM or Hibernate is asking you whenever you have a table, create one class also for that. Yes or no? So the most
Right.
Yeah.
important things, we're gonna create one class which will directly represent one table inside the database. And here it is. Just like a bean class, you have one more class here called person class. We want 4 column in the table, that is ID, first name, last name, age. So I have given the 4 properties. Rest all are
Okay.
Okay.
setters and getters. That's
Better.
all. It is very simple. In the world of Hibernate, this class is known as Pojo class. What we used to say? Pojo.
Oh, sure.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. Plain old Java object. So don't be confused. In Hibernate, if somebody is asking you in interview, what is Pojo class? You just tell them plain old Java object, which is directly representing one table in the particular database. Got it?
Okay. Yeah.
You will be surprised to know that Hibernate is internally using the JDBC, because to getting a connection and all, Hibernate cannot do standalone. So internally, it is using the JDBC only. So whatever 4 properties I told you required for JDBC, even Hibernate also need for that 4 properties. And what are those 4 properties? Let's see that. First, I will show you Hibernate with XML, and then I will show you Hibernate with annotation. So in the person.hbm.xml file, what I did under resources folder, in IOC, you have noticed I was just having the config.xml where I was defining a bean and all. But in the world of Hibernate, you have to maintain one more XML if you're not using annotation, especially for Hibernate mapping. The name of this file could be anything, but remember .hbm.xml is the naming convention. HBM stands for Hibernate mapping. Now, when you are using a Hibernate, Hibernate is having one condition for you. And what is that condition? It is saying I cannot allow any table inside your database which is not having primary key. You know primary key in database table, Nikhil?
Yeah, primary key and foreign key. Yeah.
Yes, so these are the database constraint. So we have a not null
Okay.
key, we have a unique key, we have a primary key, we have a foreign key. So not
Yeah.
null key in the sense that particular column cannot be null.
Cannot be null.
Unique unique key in the sense that particular column value should be always unique.
Unique.
And
Yeah.
primary key is a combination of not null key and unique key. It means primary key cannot be null and should always be unique. Okay. So in JDBC,
Yeah.
it's not mandatory that you can put primary key or you may not, but in Hibernate, it is completely mandatory that you must have to put one column of your table as a primary key. So
Okay.
inside my person.java, I want to make ID as a primary key. Usually we used to put integer column as a primary key so that you will understand ID 1, 2, 3 like this way, right? So you can understand that how many persons are there inside your table. Vasavi, you know primary key?
I don't know.
Okay, then you have to work on database side of it because that's important. Well, so
Okay.
just now understand it's a unique identifier. I will show you that what is primary key. But remember, inside your table, you have, let's say, Facebook has given the registration page. I, as a user, given the all details, and they have stored that details into the registration table, right?
Okay.
It means
Yeah.
I have given my email ID, I have given my mobile number, password, everything I have given. Next
Mm-hmm.
time, next time, if I'm going to register again with the same email ID, same mobile number, whether they will allow me?
No.
No.
They will not allow me. Why?
So it should be unique.
They will tell, hey, this email ID is already available, right? This mobile number
Yeah.
is
Mm-hmm.
already available. You are trying to duplicate registration with me. How they come to know? Because your primary key. The moment you put mobile number and
Mm-hmm.
email ID, they know these two informations are unique with every customer, every viewer. There's no possibility that two-person can have the same mobile number. There's no possibility
Correct.
two-person have the same email ID.
Yeah.
So while
Correct.
registration, the mobile number becomes a primary key for the Facebook.
Right.
So they put into the primary key, and the moment it is coming with the same mobile number, then Facebook will automatically understand that, oh, the same user is trying with again registration. And how it will come to know? With the help of database. Database is saying you have enabled the primary key. So I will make sure that for this column, primary key column, the data will never be a duplicate and never be null. It means you cannot register the Facebook without email ID or mobile number. Any of this is mandatory, right or not?
Okay. Yeah.
Right.
So that's the primary key. You understood now what is the use of primary key in the real world. Yeah,
Yeah,
Right.
I get it.
great. So now in this XML file, person.hbm.xml file, this is again a schema related to Hibernate, and this is one of the syntax you need to bother about. Let me show you what exactly it is. Under Hibernate mapping, first and most important things, you have to give the package name, what package your all class is existing. So under this package, I have given com.net. Now here Hibernate will ask you, what is the class inside your com.nic package? For this, you want a table. So I'm saying, I want a table for my person class. So Hibernate will tell, give me the class name here. Now it is asking you, give me the table name also. It might be that you want a
Okay.
person table directly, or you might be changed. You don't want the same name of your class as a table. If you
Okay.
not give this table section, let's say I'm not giving this, then the table will be created with the class name itself, which is person. It's not mandatory.
Right.
If you not give
Mm.
table name, then Hibernate will directly go and create a table in your database with the name of person. But
Okay.
sometime I want class name as a person, but table name as something else. Let's say I
Mm.
want person 123. That's possible. You can do that. Whenever you want
Mm.
table name other than your class name, then mention the table name also. Now,
Okay.
out of your 4 property inside your person class, it will ask you which column you want to make as a primary key. So I want to mention that ID wants to be a primary key. So this configuration is for ID, which gonna be automatically a primary key inside your table. You will be surprised to know that you don't need to even create a query for table creation. Hibernate will take care. You
Okay.
just
Right.
define the configuration. So here I'm saying ID I want as a primary key. Generator class, I will talk it later. Just ignore for time being. Okay.
Okay.
Again, other property, which is other columns which you want inside your table. First name, last name, age. Again, column name is optional. If you want to change the column name other than your property, then mention the column. So let's say for first name, I want F underscore name. For other
Mm.
last name and age, I'm not giving column. It means what? The column will be created with the same name, whatever your property name is there. So
Okay.
with this configuration, I have informed my Hibernate for which class, which table, for which primary key I want which property. All this information I have given here. That's the
Okay.
reason it is saying Hibernate mapping file. You remember the mapping term. You have to relate your class with the table. And that's the information I have given here. Whatever Hibernate is looking for. Got it?
Good.
Okay. So Spring DAO, you have seen, we have created the JDBC template and data source object. Let's come to now our config.xml file and see what I'm trying to do here. Data source, again here also I have created because I told you internally Hibernate is using the JDBC. So this bean is for your data source where I have given driver class, I have given URL, username, password, right? So
Yeah.
these bean is especially for your database connection.
Right.
Then after you have to create a Hibernate related bean. And just like a JDBC template, you have Hibernate template. But Hibernate is coming with lots of features like caching mechanism, query optimization. So what I did here, I have created one local session factory bean. It will ask you, can you give me first of all the database related information? So I'm saying, let's take the bean which I have created. I have given the reference of this bean to my session factory. Then after it will ask me, hey, since I'm a Hibernate, can you tell me what database you are using? So I'm saying I am using H2 database, and that's where the dialect I told you. Remember? Because Hibernate is
Correct.
going to write a query according to the database. If it is a Oracle, then you have to change this dialect according to the Oracle. How to get a
Okay.
dialect? You can simply go to internet anywhere. You just type here, you just type here, uh, all database dialect. If you type like this, you might be get many options. You might be focus on the documentation also, but look at this Java T point. This guy is saying to you, for Oracle, this is the dialect. For MySQL, this is the dialect. For H2 database, I saw, there might be some
Mhm.
H2 also. So there are many database like Postgre. So you can use this dialect. But right now I'm using H2. So for H2, this is the dialect.
Okay.
Right.
Okay, so this bean creation will quite complex. Initially it will look for you, but that's the configuration. We have to do that. We cannot escape from this configuration. So after creating the data source of bean, we have to create a session factory bean. Session factory bean will first ask you, give me the database related bean. I have given the link of
Mhm.
this bean to this via reference. And then it is a hibernate properties where you are saying which database I'm using, create and true, I will tell you later. Just ignore for a time being. And finally, it will also ask you, can you give me the link of your mapping file? So you remember just now we have created person.hbm.xml. That
Mhm.
being that mapping I have given something like this. So with this, you have a session factory being created. Now, third being, you have to create a Hibernate template where you are just linking this session factory via reference. And finally, the last bean is transaction manager that is having again a session factory reference. So these are the small bean which you need to create for Hibernate in Spring to proceed further. So now, don't worry, I will explain you again and again until you will not understand it. So you just remember these are the beans we need to create related to our Hibernate.
Okay.
Finally, come to
Mhm.
our manager class. You know this IOC concept, class path XML,
Yeah.
right? We loaded
Correct.
XML. I asked, give me the person DO object. So person DO object you have created here, bean ID,
Oh,
Yeah.
right? You got a person
Mhm.
DO object. Now, as per this statement, you create your person
Okay.
class object and save that person class object. So look at this. I have created my person class object. I have set
Mhm.
the all values which I want. And finally, what I'm doing, I'm saving my person object. That's
Mhm.
all. So now
mm,
who is saving? It is going to save under the person DAO. Let's come to the person DAO, and under the person DAO, I have a save method. The moment you will save this person object, automatically table will be created and insert statement will be done. So let's run this program and see how it's behaving. Then again, we will do the operation. Java application. And my timer has been started, guys. So you please join after that.
okay.
Okay.
Cool. Look at this console. What Hibernate did first? First, it had checked whether person 123 table is existing. If it is existing, then first and most, it has ran the drop table command.
Correct.
Then
Yeah.
after, you want a table name person 123. So look at this. This is the query which Hibernate has followed to create a person 123 table. So look at this, person table is
Right.
created. Then after you have inserted the data into your person 123 table, look at this, Hibernate has composed the query. We didn't written any query. This is all the magic of Hibernate, which has been done here. Now let's come
Okay.
to our database and see whether person table is there or not. So I'm writing select a star from person 123. Let's run it. Congratulations. Look at this. You have a